Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. This podcast started accidentally on purpose when the printing of my debut book was delayed due to unforeseen circumstances. We are now in season 2. I can't even believe I just fixed my mouth to say. Let me repeat. We are now in season 2 of this podcast, and we have morphed into a talk show. Each week, I'll be sharing some thoughts with you while also having different guests at times. And those guests and themes that we'll discuss will be aligned with the themes that were previously highlighted in my book, Beautiful, I Am Colored. I am so honored that you have returned to hear more of what I have to say, and thank you so much to those of you who have supported me and who have tuned in to my podcast. I appreciate your support. For those interested, you can follow me on Instagram at Beautiful I Am Colored, and my website also is live, and my book is available there for purchase at beautifuliamcolored.com. So please stop by either one of those and give me a chat or a check-in. And I also want to just say special thanks to Object Oriented for the website design and support. This week, I have a lot to talk about. And so I'm just going to go in different segments until everything that I have to say is released from me, because it's been a while since we checked in. But first, before I get into the different segments, I want to just say and shout out a few different people because I believe that's important. And no, I don't have a collab. I don't have a partnership with the individuals, at least not at this time, that is ongoing. But I do feel it very important that when someone does something that is impactful in your life, that you should definitely notice them and appreciate them privately as well as publicly when given the opportunity. So the first person that I want to shout out this week is my dear friend, Kendra Anderson. You can find Kendra on Instagram under Swirl Girl Denver. You can also find her under Modern Queens Consulting Group. Kendra is so awesome. She opened up her space to myself and my family for my party that was almost 2 weeks ago now. I had my first book signing mixed with a graduation party. So many of my friends and family flew out to support me. And Kendra was just such a gracious host. And so I want to shout her out and just say thank you so much. Kenny, if you're listening, I really appreciate you. And it was just important for me to shout you out publicly. The next two people I want to shout out, both persons' names are Jasmine. The first is Jasmine Elizabeth of Jazz Jules. She's also a podcaster. And the reason why I'm shouting out Jasmine today is because Jasmine's podcast is so positive and she keeps it so real and authentic. It's short, sweet, to the point, but she has a podcast titled Jazz Jules. That's with a J, JASJEWELS. And she gives you like a positive, encouraging word every week. And I can tell you that I look forward to listening to her every week. It gives you kind of just the boost that you need. So if you're looking for positive, uplifting podcasters and you want to support Black women in podcasting, I'm strongly encouraging you to give Jazz Jules a listen. So thank you so much, Jasmine. The other Jasmine is Jasmine Williams, and she was a photographer at my party, friends or acquaintances with my girls. And Jazz did such a great job on my pictures and capturing the moment just as I had asked. And she just has such a beautiful spirit. So I want to shout out Jazz. She's also available on Instagram. It's j.laree, and Jasmine, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's LAREE photography. And she also has a website under that same name. So I encourage you to check her out. Okay, before I begin these next segments, I'm going to take a quick little break, but then I'll be right back with you to share some more about what's been going on with me, what's on my mind, and where we're headed next, a little bit more detail and context about that. Okay, I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so this segment I've titled What I Found Out About Myself. during this whole book release podcasting phase, that has been several months now in the making, which is even crazy to say that. I don't know about you, but I can just tell you, I was talking to a dear friend of mine at the library this morning. Time just seems like it's both moving slow and fast simultaneously. And I'm not sure in the cosmos what that is all about, but I definitely can feel the shift in the atmosphere for a host of reasons. But that's been something that I guess has taken me a little bit by surprise. And one of the things that I've learned about myself, which is a positive thing, is that I absolutely, positively love reading aloud. Like I did not know that I enjoyed it so much. It's like when I read aloud, and I like reading all books aloud, but of course when I read my own writing, because it's not like I'm revisiting my own writing every day. So each and every time I have the opportunity to read aloud, it stirs something on the inside of me. And that stirring, I think, is called purpose. It's called my spirit dancing, if you will. And so I just absolutely love that so much, in fact, that I did something that I was reluctant to do, but I was like, listen, law school has finished. Graduation is this Saturday. So law school is finished. I have additional time on my hands while I seek out different opportunities for work. And I was thinking to myself, girl, you have on your little plan that you were going to post the videos and stuff. You don't hardly be posting no videos. You act like you don't want people to see you and stuff. And so today I was like, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and I'm just going to pull the trigger and do it. Now, it was a whole thing, y'all. Like, I set up the camera, like my phone, that is, into like the little tripod, because, the people on the YouTube tell you to get the Ring camera and all that good stuff. So I have all that stuff here at the house. But again, it's just me. It's just Evelyn. And so I'm hooking up everything, trying to get my screens right. Caught myself being fancy, created like a kiosk digital run thing. So it has images of my book and me from my photo shoot and stuff. Speaking of photo shoot, I had so many compliments on that pink jumpsuit that I have on Instagram when I posted that some months ago. And I just wanted to say, usually I don't shout out businesses and stuff like that, just because you do have to be careful in terms of whatever. But I think at some point I'm going to share where I got that jumpsuit from and several of my articles of clothing. I love this particular online boutique, and she always comes through with the styles, and it has enough stretch in it for the thighs. I apologize for sniffing. My nose has been running like a faucet because the grass is growing and being cut today, and it's a whole thing out here. Let me get back on track. But I've said I really love reading aloud. So today, my YouTube channel, of course, I had kind of a placeholder there for Beautiful I Am Colored while I finished up school. But today was the first day that I uploaded like a new video with me reading aloud. Like I even did a short of it. And then I posted it to the, what's it called on Instagram? The videos. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name right now. But the bottom line is this. I'm putting myself out there because I know that for me to experience growth, I have to start doing things new, and I have to stay on the path of doing things new to provide the branch to the next step, into the next path, or to the next illumination, so that things can come to me. And the funny thing about it is, like, I feel like for the past 2 weeks that I've been absent and just trying to tie up all of my finals and stuff at school, meaning absent from this podcast. I think one of the things that resonated with me the most about myself is that my ability, I guess, and I don't usually talk about myself very much, but sometimes it is important to acknowledge, when you're doing things well, because I'm so critical of myself. But one of the things that I feel like I do well is that I have the ability, and then put with it the action, to do things different and to maintain with an open heart and an open mind about what I need to be doing. And definitely that's absolutely the God in me that is showing me how to do that. but sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. And that's, again, one of the things that I like about Jazz Jules' podcast is that she always, points you back to, God gives you every. Please pardon me for that interruption. I forgot to silence my phone and my baby sis called and it cut me off of the recording. So jumping right back into what I was saying about, the things that I've learned about myself, and just acknowledging that I know that it comes from a much deeper place, much bigger and deeper than Evelyn, the wife, the mom, or my personality. And I also will say that another thing that I've noticed about myself is that, funny enough to say it, but every single time I start to share about my life with you in this platform, there's something that happens in me where I get lighter, I get more focused, and those are all indications that I'm on the right path. And the funny part about it is I got a little bit anxious towards the end of school. I knew my party was coming. I knew people were going to be asking me, so what's next? What are you going to be doing? You got a job lined up and things like that. And I'm going to be honest, I got so worked up about it at one point. I started applying for jobs. And you recall I had a segment in my book called Always the Assistant, where I talk about my experience as, securing these executive assistant and admin assistant type roles and being excellent at them, but being frustrated. Well, why was I applying for these? They were 6-figure salary ones now, but why was I applying for these same old jobs, going back into my same old ways and stuff, even though it's more money? And all the while I'm doing that, being slightly anxious and slightly miserable in doing so, because even the thought of it I was already regretting it. Why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this transparent moment with you because sometimes when we are called to do things, what I'm noticing is there'll be other things that start to pull on you, including your own mind and your own imagination playing tricks on you. And what I've learned is that it is so incredibly important to tap into what drives and fuels you so that you're focused and you stay on the path that God created for you. And for whatever reason and season of life, God has me on this path. And I know that because all of the signs are there. There's peace. There's joy. The money ain't came in yet. Don't you worry. I'm holding my hands out for that part. But the other things that money can't buy, I experience that when I'm doing this work. And so for however long I am supposed to do this, I'm just going to continue on. And so I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for listening to me, for supporting me. So many of you have asked me, how can you support me? You can support me in a myriad of ways. You can follow me on Instagram. You can use the hashtag Beautiful I Am Colored. Visit my website. I write there when I'm led. So I have a blog section. I just uploaded one today where I talk about, growth and some of the things that I've shared with you on the podcast today. But just thank you so much. I appreciate your continued support. And also, if you like what you're hearing, definitely please pass the word on to somebody else because you never know how your story will impact others' lives. I definitely didn't know the impact that I would have in this short period of time. It's somewhat overwhelming, but again, I know that I'm called to do that in this season. And so again, thank you. And we're going to take a little bit of another break, and then I'm going to come back, and believe it or not, I have even more to talk to you about. I actually have a confession. So stick around for that. I'll be right back. Okay, so as you may be able to tell by the title of this segment, which is The Confession, Not So Innocent, I want to be transparent and shed a little light on one of the stories that I shared with you weeks ago, titled Betrayal. It's a little bit of snippets throughout my book, of course, where I talk about Marlon. And those of you who listen to me know that Marlon is my husband of 26 years. And one of the things that after I had conducted an interview with him some weeks back that I said was, I highlight the fact that Marlon cheated on me, but I do not talk about in my book, and I rarely talk about with friends or whoever, that I had my own little spiel. No, it wasn't sexual, and maybe that's why I don't talk about it. But shortly after, I would say, right before I got pregnant with Morgan, who was our third child, I think I was just trying to get back at Marlon. So I met up with this guy at a park, and I knew this guy liked me and everything. And, I ended up kissing him, which was horrible, by the way. I felt so bad and so sick and so nasty. Because I was seriously just doing it for revenge. If I'm just going to keep it real with you, I was just doing it for revenge. And it didn't feel like revenge. You know how on TV shows and stuff sometimes, the revenge feels so good and they show and highlight people feeling so good. Well, I had the exact opposite effect. And I can't hold water. For those of you who know me well, my face doesn't lie. I can't tell lies well. So that very same night that this happened, Marlon was out of town. It was back when he was working for one of them teams in California. And he had called, and I guess he had called the house several times because this is before cell phones, at least before we had cell phones. And I had missed the call, and at the time, the kids and I were staying at my mom's house. And I got back home and called him back, and he's like, where you been? And of course, I was stuttering and some more, and I just let it out. I just couldn't hold it. I felt so bad. I just told him. And of course, he was pissed off, and had 1,000,001 questions, about it. And, I reassured him, no, it wasn't anything sexual, but basically, I was out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? I should have never been talking to dude. I should have never agreed to meet up. None of the above, But it was important for me to shed light on this because I think sometimes when I share about the infidelity, it makes me appear to be the good person and I never do any wrong, which is far from the truth about me. I don't have a record of wrongdoings, not a long one anyway, but I am not the type of person who is 100% innocent, which is why I titled this segment, The Confession, Not So Innocent. And also just to take away the villainization, from Marlon too, anybody who has gone through infidelity knows that, especially if you are fully committed in love with the person in that relationship, it's a soul tapping situation, and it's not easily to recover from it. And maybe, but then again, you know what? Maybe for some people it is. I'm going to speak for myself. It was very difficult for me to recover from it. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and be transparent with you all because I do believe that there is freedom in truth. And that is the place that I operate from at all times, even if it's uncomfortable. But I just didn't want y'all to walk away thinking damn, does she do anything? Well, I'm not perfect. And so I wanted to take this opportunity and getting that out before we cascade fully into season 2, because there are a lot of things that I want to do and present. And I know that for me, I have to uncover everything for where I feel like I'm headed. And I know that that's not everybody, and I respect that that's not everybody, but I also hope that you respect that that's where I am, and for the work that I'm called to do, I can't have any shadows. And so anyway, that's the confession. I am not so innocent. At some point, I don't know, maybe I'll get to talk about that a little bit more, but I wanted to share that with you. And that concludes this segment. That also concludes this week's talk with you. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to share some interviews with you in the coming weeks as well. Please bear with me. I will be changing some things up, learning some new technology to help me along the way. But I can't say thank you enough to everyone. That concludes the show for this week. As always, I hope that you enjoyed it. But more than anything, I pray that you have found a sense of hope and healing in hearing me share my stories with you. And in the coming weeks, you'll get to hear other people's stories as well. In the meantime, you can contact me at beautiful.iamcolored@gmail.com. Visit me on my website at beautifuliamcolored.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram or YouTube under those same handles. I am your host, Evelyn. And remember, the future you is waiting on you. Until next time, beautiful.